Welcome back, mathematicians. We're still dealing with common fractions. Today we're going to look at square rooting and cube rooting fractions. Remember, in maths there are a few things that you just have to learn. One of them is the square numbers. If you take each of the counting numbers and you square them, you will get the square numbers. So the first square number is 1, second is 4, third is 9, and so on. You are expected to know up to 13 squared. You are also expected to know up to 7 cubed. So the cubed numbers from 1 to 7. Remember that the square root of a negative number is non-real. Not error or undefined, it is non-real. You can, however, cube root a negative number. So the cube root of a negative number is a negative answer. Let's have a look at the worked example. So as soon as you get a square root, it is a fraction. We're going to split the root sign, which is only possible when you multiply and or divide. So we will have the square root of 9 over the square root of 25. Now you square root each of those independently. The square root of 9 is 3, because 3 times 3 is 9, and the square root of 25 is 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. Square root both the numerator and the denominator. What happens if we have a cube root of a negative number? Well, remember, cube root the sign first. The cube root of a negative number is going to be negative. So my result is going to be negative. The next thing we're going to do, just as in square rooting, we're going to split the root sign. So I'm now looking at the number part only. So I'm going to write the cube root of 8. See why it's important to know your cube numbers. And the cube root of 27. The cube root, our number is negative. Don't forget your negative sign. The cube root of 8 is 2, because 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 will give you 8. The cube root of 27 is 3, because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Cube root both the numerator and the denominator. And lastly, write the answer as a mixed number in simplest form where necessary. Nothing can divide into either of those, so that is the final answer for that calculation. What happens when we cube root a mixed number? Well, right throughout the section on common fractions, the first thing we do is convert the mixed number to an improper fraction. So it will still be negative. We are still finding the cube root, but now we're going to say 8 multiplied by 3 is 24, plus 3 is going to be 27 eighths. Just as in the previous examples, we're going to cube root the sign first. The cube root of a negative will be negative. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to split the root sign. And remember, it can only be done when we have multiplication and division. So we're going to find the cube root of 27 over the cube root of 8. Cube root both the numerator and the denominator. Your sign was negative. The cube root of 27 is 3. The cube root of 8 is 2. Let's look at the answer. write the answer as a mixed number in simplest form. 2 goes into 3 once. My number is still negative. 1 times 2 is 2 and 1 left over, so 1.5. That is the answer to that calculation. Once again, you are expected to explain, because you only truly understand if you can explain in words to a group member how to square root a fraction, the method, how to cube root both a positive and a negative fraction, how to cube root both positive and negative mixed numbers, and how to apply the rules of BODMAS. Please will you go on to test your understanding, which is found on page 47 of your textbook. That's all for today. Thank you.